What's going on, good people? It's Iceberg. Hopefully, everybody out there is having a wonderful day. Coming to you today on this very warm day here in North Carolina Zone 7B. We're in mid August, and what that means is it's time for us to go ahead and start planting our vegetables for our fall and winter harvest, right? So, I've been talking to y'all about it for a little over a week now. Today is finally the day to do it. Please forgive me if you see me get a little sweaty or tacky. Like I said, it is mid August here in North Carolina Zone 7B. We're in our low 90s here, very high humidity, so you can't be outside more than about 5 minutes without breaking out into sweat, right? So please forgive me if you see any of that. We're out here working hard. We're enjoying the sunshine, getting some of them vitamins into our skin that the sun provides, and getting connected to the nutrients that the earth provides for us. So to get started, had a great question come to me from one of the subscribers, Mom Boss Mayo. Salute to you. I appreciate you for the question. And I'm going to explain something a little bit later that is going to go with this question. But right now, the question is, what do you need to get started in your garden, right? So I'm going to go over a little bit of the things. We're not going to go into extreme detail right now, but I'm going to go over a few of the things that you need to get started growing stuff for yourself, right? So getting into that question, now the channel is monetized. We have some things that we can offer you on the channel, additional things that we didn't have available to us, additional tools, right? So what we're going to do going along with this video for the members, if you got a membership, and memberships, they start at $2.99. That isn't that much, right? If you have a membership for the members, there's going to be a Google Doc available for you. And in that doc, you'll be able to see a list of the things that you need to start your very own garden journey. Whatever it is that you want to plant for you and your family's growth, that's what it is that you'll be working on. But what I'm going to give you is a basic list of the general things that you need so you can get started on your gardening journey. So going through some of the stuff here that we're going to use, what's the first thing that you need to be able to plant something? Well, of course, you need to get your seeds, right? Whatever the seeds are that it is you're going to plant. I have an array of seeds laid out here in front of me that I'm about to plant for my fall and winter growth. And there's some more over here, and we're going to get into planting those. After you have your seeds and you know what it is you want to grow, of course, you need to do a little bit of research on your seeds, know how deep to plant them, how much space they're going to need whenever they're growing, stuff like that. But as far as the physical things that you need, the next thing you need is a container. I've talked to you about all of this stuff on my previous videos, but we're going to go over it very briefly again. What is a container? Well, anything you can put soil in. If you go to a garden center or to a big box store, it may look something like this. This is a 9-cell container, and this is what seedlings came in. Not sure what was in this originally, but this is a container. This is what you need for some seed, to put some seeds in to get them to start growing. It doesn't have to be this exact type of a container. This is just one. And when you get these from a garden center or a big box store, you reuse them. You keep them for the next season. That's why I still have this. I haven't bought any of these containers in a couple of seasons now. Another type of container you may have, if you bought something maybe that's a little bit larger, maybe tomato, may have been in something like this. This is a single container made for one seedling basically to grow in, a little bit larger. As you can see, holes in the bottom. All of your containers are going to want to have them to have holes in the bottom so the water can drain through and it doesn't mildew your soil. Another type of container is a larger one. If you got a shrub, maybe a rose bush, something like that, as you see, it looks just like the other containers, just larger diameter container. This one looks like it was for roses. Yep, this was a rose container. This says it's 2-gallon, I believe. So you have different size containers for your different things that you're going to be growing. Now, if you have all of the stuff that you need at home that I'm about to mention and you don't have a container, then you may be wondering, how are you going to get by? How are you going to do this if you want to do it right now? Well, there's things that you may have in your house that are containers that you may not have thought about. Think outside the box. This is a takeout container from a restaurant. As you can see, it's, about 3 inches tall. This going this way, it's maybe about 4 or 5 inches. Let's say it's about 5 to 6 inches going across. And it came with a lid, right? Because it's a takeout food container. But if you're not going to use it for something else like that, what you can do is Take the lid off, of course. Use that on the bottom because you're going to want something for it to drain onto if you're keeping this in your house. You don't want it to drain on your table or your floor because this black part, you're going to take it and punch holes in the bottom of it so the water can drain out. If you don't do that, your soil is going to mildew. Your seeds aren't going to grow properly. So think outside the box. You may have some containers inside your house that you can use to serve this same purpose. Now, whenever we're looking at the containers that you're using, make sure that it's not a container that you've used previously for something with chemicals, let's say. If you were using it for cleaning things and stuff like that, those chemicals will get sucked up into that plastic, if it's made of plastic or whatever it's made out of, and then that'll seep back into your soil. So you don't want to use something like that. But if it was a container for, let's say, food, well, what are you doing? You're growing food in your garden. So using a food container may not be that bad. It may be okay to use that. So just think about what kind of containers you're using and what it is that you're going to be putting back into your body whenever you use these containers. So we got our containers, right? Next thing you need, obviously, you got to put something in that container. You need some good soil. What I use, and I've highlighted it a whole lot more deeply in some previous videos, but what I use is called Daddy Pete's Plant Pleaser, and it's the potting mix. And what I'm using, I've been using this for 2 to 3 seasons now. We use it for indoor and outdoor plants. It works wonderfully, but we don't just use it alone. But let me show you what the Daddy Pete's potting mix looks like. So as you can see, it's some nice, rich, fine, dark soil. There's a little bit of perlite in it. It has some bark fines in it, but it's nice, rich, dark soil. It breaks up very well. It has a little bit of moisture to it. It's not very heavy. So that's what I use. It's a great blend of soil. I've been using it for, like I said, 2 to 3 years on indoor and outdoor plants. It's produced well for my seedlings as well as for my stuff in my garden beds that you've seen out here. But like I said, I don't just use that alone. I add something to my soil, and I started doing this last season, and it's worked wonders. And that is rice hulls. These are rice hulls. It's the shell that grows in. They keep these shells, and this works very well, similar to the way that perlite does as far as helping the drainage in the soil. It also has nutrients in it. It's organic, so it just biodegrades into the soil, and it's just worked wonders for us. We also use this as a top coating on our soil because, again, it helps with drainage. So it helps to keep the moisture below the surface in the soil rather than it all wicking away whenever the sun comes and beats down on it. It also allows us to see, since they're the whitish cream color, it allows us to see if there's anything on top of the soil that maybe we need to remove. So these rice hulls have worked wonders. I'll link these and the Daddy Pete's in the description down below. So if you want to go there, take a look at them, tell them old Icebergs sent you. Maybe we can get some sponsorships over here, right? We're going to keep on working on building that. So we got our soil, right? So I take the rice hulls, I mix them with the Daddy Pete's soil. And what I end up with is a mixture that looks something like this. As you can see, there's soil, there's rice hulls, they're mixed in there. It's probably 70-30, I'd say, probably 70% soil, 30% rice hull, something like that. Just do whatever feels right for you. You're just trying to mix it in there, make sure that it gets mixed in very well so you have the good aeration through your soil using the rice hulls to serve as that aeration for you. So moving on, got our containers, we got our soil, we got our seeds. That's pretty much all we need to be able to plant some seeds. That's pretty much it. Other than the knowledge, you got to get the knowledge on your own. But the seed packs that you buy, most of the time they let you know how you need to plant the seeds, how deep into the soil, how far apart they need to be spaced if you're planting them into the ground as opposed to containers. Because I'm talking about container gardening here. But if you have the space to do it out in the ground, you can do it in the ground just as well. You may still want to mix some soil in with your seedlings if you're doing them straight into the ground. But if you have that ground beneath, you don't even need the containers. You can skip that step and go straight to the seeds, the soil, the water. The water will come at the very end. We're not concerned with that right now. We got our seeds, we got our soil, we got our containers. So I got a bunch of containers made up behind me. You probably see them, and I already have soil in them. I didn't show y'all that process. So really quickly on one tray, I'm going to show you what I do for filling my containers. It's nothing really. I've already got my soil mixed up. My daddy pizzas mixed with my rice hulls. Just going to start filling some of our containers. So let's get to it. So here's some more of my containers, some reused containers. Oh, one thing I didn't tell you. If you go to a recycling center near you, they may have these containers there that you can just get for free. At the garden center near where I go or where I live, they have a recycling center right out there for these containers. I can just go up there, pick them up free of charge, reuse them myself. You don't have to come out of pocket for these very often. You reuse them as much as you can until they break. Then you reuse, go get some more. But filling our containers probably about 2/3 of the way, let's say. I don't want them filled all the way to the top. If I need to top them off later, I can. Just need to have them filled enough to give the seeds and the roots enough room to be able to grow and not get root bound down at the bottom very quickly. So here's my containers, probably about 2/3 full each, just like the ones back here on the table. And really, now we just have to go to figuring out what seeds we want to put in where. So I'm going to go over some of my seeds with you, maybe give you some ideas of some of the stuff you can plant in your fall and winter garden. And we'll get to planting some of them. Don't need the gloves anymore. Don't really need them for the soil. The soil's clean. This is brand new soil, brand new rice hulls. So don't really need any of that. But sometimes you like to use gloves. You're supposed to in most cases anyway. So try to do right sometimes, all right? All right. So got a bunch of stuff out here. I'm planning for myself. I'm planning for a property that we have. I'm also planning for my mother, and I'm planning for my mother-in-law, and then whoever else there is that may end up needing something, wanting something, because we plant to have an abundance. One thing about gardening and planting seeds is that you can't go into this being afraid to fail. You can't have fear of failing. Some of this stuff that I'm getting ready to plant, I've never grown before in my life. I'm trying it for the first time. And if I don't get success, I'm going to try it again next season. I'm going to learn more about it and try it again. But you can't be afraid of failing, because not every seed is going to germinate. Not every plant is going to produce crops. And you can't let that deter you from doing it again the next year. So let's get into what we got here. Where do we want to start? All right. Let's start with a favorite to a lot of people, some collards. We got some collard greens. These are called Morris heading collards. So these are collards that form into a head. So what I'm going to do, collards get pretty decent size. So I'm trying to figure out which container I want to use for which thing. All right. I'm thinking about the stuff I got here as well, because I know I have a couple different things that get larger. So we'll go ahead with this one that we just made, and we'll put the collards in that. That'll work. So we got our tray here. They're, like I said, about 2/3 full, let's say, give or take. I'll show you in a second. All right, so as you can see, let me hold it up there. These collards, they're very little seeds. They're tiny. See how small they are when I spread them out? They're very little. So in each one of these containers here, I'm probably going to put 2 to 3 seeds, because like I said, every seed is not going to germinate. And and you don't control that. But I don't want to use this entire container waiting on one seed to possibly germinate. You know, it's kind of how they say you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know, I'm not putting everything on one seed germinating in one container. So what I'm going to do is, collard seeds don't need to be very deep in the soil. So I'm just going to probably come back and top all of these off. So taking 2 to 3 seeds, sprinkling them in almost like a triangle pattern. I'm gonna do 3 in each one, and I'm doing them in kind of like a triangle pattern, giving them a little bit of space between each seed. So if all 3 of them do happen to germinate, then whenever it comes time to thin them out, I may be able to get 2 out of it whenever I go to transplant it, or, you know, I may just be able to see which one is the strongest and let that one continue to grow. I'm going to do this entire tray with collard greens because they're popular. I know that not only will I want to grow them, but others will as well. So I want to make sure that we have enough seedlings growing so everybody can get them at least a little bit or so. All right, so there we go. We got about 3 seeds at least in each one of the containers. Put these back. Those are up. And you see still what I have left. I've put 3 or more seeds in all 8 of these containers. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of soil over the top of them. I'm just going to use my hand to do it. All right. And just like that, that's really all there is to it. I'm just evening the soil out. So whenever I come back and water, I don't have any areas that are puddles or, you know, hills. That's all I'm doing right now is kind of patting it down just a little bit, not packing it at all, just patting it down to make it all even. And that's what we get. So, I mean, it doesn't look like anything right now, but we'll come back in a few days and we'll see green sprouting up out of here. I'm going to set this one to the side. Still need to come back and label it because it's not labeled. Do I have a label here? No. Okay, so I don't have a label for this one yet, but I know what it is. So, just like that, that's all there is to it. Whatever it is that you and your family want to grow, it's that simple. You plant a tray or however many of the containers that it is that you want to plant. Again, not putting all your eggs in one basket. You can't plant one container and just expect that that's going to give you everything you want and need. Now, you may get lucky and that one may grow, but it may not. And then you don't want to waste all of this time putting everything on that one container. So let's go on to something else. What else we got over here? Again, we're doing fall and winter crops. So let me show you some more of the seeds that I got. That was just our collards, right? Next thing I'm going to plant, I'm going to show you more, but the next thing I'm going to plant are some small sugar pumpkins. And as you see, pumpkin seeds are larger. And these I don't plan to keep out here in the backyard. These will definitely be getting transplanted out to the land so they can vine out like we saw with our cantaloupe and our honeydew, what it's doing. We definitely know these watermelons are going to, or these pumpkins are going to vine. So we need to make sure that we give them the space that we're learning from other stuff that's growing in our garden. We'll get to those in a second. We're going to, of course, do some kale. We got some Siberian kale here. As you see, the kale seeds look a lot like those mustard seeds or those collard seeds. Look a lot like the collard seeds. Leafy greens. A lot of the seeds look the same. Look, Brussels sprouts. Leafy greens. Seeds look pretty much the same. What else we got? Cauliflower. It's white, but it, is kind of similar to our leafy greens. Seeds look the same. We have some golden acre cabbage. Same thing, leafy greens. What else? What else? We got some spinach. Giant noble spinach. Now our spinach looks a little different. It's actually a green seed. It's a greenish, whitish color seed. We have some Detroit dark red beets. We tried beets once before, didn't get very much success. We're going to try them again. These are rough looking brownish color seeds. We got some giant radishes. These seeds are orangish color. What else? We got some purple top white globe turnips. These seeds look kind of like the leafy green seeds. Some red romaine lettuce. Lettuce seeds they almost look like the little rice hulls. They're very fine. They don't go deep on the soil at all. You almost just sprinkle them on the surface. It's another type of lettuce, gourmet leaf lettuce. And we've grown these before. You've seen these in our garden before. We're starting some new lettuce for ourselves and to give to some other people. 7 top turnips. So as you see, a lot of the stuff that we're growing is going to be your leafy greens, some turnips, some radishes. We're going to try some carrots. I don't know what's going to happen with those, but we're going to try them. That's pretty much what you're going to have for your fall and your winter crops. Another type of spinach, Bloomsdale spinach. Seeds look almost white. And over here in our containers that you saw us transferring seeds to, we have a couple different kinds of kale, red Russian kale, some more spinach, some red giant mustard greens. We have some of that brown mustard that we harvested from over here. Some winter squash. Don't know what's going to happen with that. And some iceberg lettuce. So we have leafy greens. We have radishes. We have turnips. We have some carrots. We have some spinach, that type of stuff. That's what we're planting for our fall and winter gardens. A lot of them, they call them like cover crops, things like that. They come in the garden. They take the place of things that we have in there now, our squash, our zucchini, our cucumbers, those things like that are going to die off. These things come right in behind them and take the place of them. And if you do the right rotation, the nutrients will be transferring from one to the next properly. So let's get to planting a little bit more. Where we want to go? We said we're going with our pumpkins next, right? Let's get some pumpkins planted. Never grown pumpkins before. It's going to be a learning experience similar to our cantaloupe and our squash. We're going to use one side of this container here to plant our pumpkins. So for these, I'm just going to put one seed in each container. I'm just going to use my finger to make a hole, basically. We're going to go about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch deep. If you have a rod of some sort, a wooden dowel, something to that effect, it will suffice, as for instead of you sticking your finger in the hole like this, but serves the same purpose. All right. So going to do one seed per on this, because I don't want multiple vines growing out of any one container. because these will get invasive and they need their space. Let's see what kind of luck we get out of one seed per container on these and go with it. If we don't get anything, no big deal. Like I said, pumpkins are new for me growing. I've never grown them before. And if I don't get any results, I'm not going to cry about it. Just going to cover them up with the soil that was removed to make the hole. And those will be ready for watering. It is literally this simple. Once you do this, you give them some water. You put them in an area where they can get the right amount of sun that they need. You make sure that soil stays moist. You don't want it soaked where it's waterlogged, but you want to make sure that the soil stays moist so the seed can germinate. The seed germinates off of that humid temperature, that humid climate underneath the soil where the soil is warm and you have that moisture there so the seed can germinate and sprout. We're going to move this to the side. So we got our collards planted. We got our pumpkins planted. Next, we're going to do something that is a little bit different than those in terms of how you plant it because you're not really digging a hole. We're going to do some of this lettuce. We'll do some of this romaine lettuce. With the lettuce, you really are just pretty much sprinkling the seeds on top of the surface and disturbing the dirt around. They need to be very close to the light to get germination. Let me see if I can show you the seeds, how fine they are. I mean, they're almost like dust. You see there? They're almost like dust, in your hand. They're very fine seeds. So you really just sprinkle them kind of over the surface and go with it from there. What I'm going to do is all right, perfect. This one is already labeled actually for the red romaine lettuce on one side. And that's what I wanted to do. I'm going to come down this side that's labeled with the red romaine lettuce. I'm going to come down that side with the romaine lettuce. I'm going to change this label and come down the other side with the gourmet leaf lettuce. So I'm going to grow both my lettuce in the same tray beside each other. And I literally just had some in my hand. I shook some across the surface on each one of these. I'm disturbing the soil around so they get, underneath it. They're not just sitting directly on the top, but they're not very low beneath the surface. Again, we'll come back, water all of this stuff in once we get it in place in the greenhouse and let it go from there. All right. So we're going to come back on this other side with the gourmet leaf lettuce. And this is like the other lettuce, but the seeds are different colors. These seeds are black and white, or kind of a dark brown and white, where the red romaine lettuce seeds are all white. Same thing, just shook some in my hand, and then I'm going to shake them across the surface. Stir up the soil a little bit. And that's what we get. So as you can see, not much to it at all. We've already gotten 3 trays planted. Right now, we have 28 trays planted for seedlings to start growing. 28 trays that quickly. I already have 20, 30, 38 more prepared behind me, more down on the ground. So we're going to have well over 100 seedling trays in this small space that I'm operating in. Imagine what you can do in your space if you have more space than I'm operating in here. You all see the journey that I go on. I'm backyard gardening between down here and upstairs where the greenhouse is. So with the space that you have, you can do anything that it is that you want to do and that you need to do for your family to make sure y'all are eating healthy food. You can grow it yourself. You have to know how to do it. We're showing you right here, right now, how to do it. You just need to take the effort, get your hands in that soil, and get your seeds in that soil. Watch the process happen. Let's keep on playing. We got a lot of stuff here. What do we want to do next? Let's get us some spinach planted. We got two different kinds of spinach here, so let's get us some spinach planted in a tray. All right, we're gonna go with this. We'll go with this one. That's fine. We'll go with this one. The spinach seeds, both of them pretty much look the same. They're very small. They're not as small as the lettuce, obviously, but they're little like nugget seeds, almost like the quintessential seed thought when you think of a seed. This is like a seed of a grape, maybe a little bit smaller than a grape seed, something like that. So with these, I'm just going to go with 2 per container. I'm going to do one type down one side. The Giant Noble is what I have right now. And then I'll come with the Bloomsdale down the other side. I'm going to put 2 seeds per container. Hopefully we'll get good germination out of them. Just going to put it about 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to separate them, not put them right in the same hole together. I'm putting one on one side, one on the other side. So maybe I'll actually get 2 seedlings out of it that I can separate when I go to transplant them and actually have 2 spinach plants growing instead of 1. We'll see. It's all wishful thinking, right? Just using my finger, creating a little divot that's, like I said, maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch deep, dropping the seed in, covering it back up with the soil that I moved out of the way. Just like that, we have 5 of those spinach containers planted with the potential of 10 spinach plants out of that one side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's going to give us 10 containers planted with the potential of 20 spinach plants. I can't do anything with 20 spinach plants. I can maybe use 2 or 3. So what am I going to do with the other 17? If I get all of them to grow, who are they going to go to? Even if I give away 5 to my mom, 5 to my mother-in-law, that still leaves me with 7. What am I going to do with all of this spinach? You'd much rather have an abundance in your garden than a shortage. You can always find somebody who will help you dispose of your crop, for better words. They will help you eat up some food. You ain't got to worry about that. But if you don't have it to offer for you or your family, then what? Just take the action, plant the seed, Give it a little love. Enjoy the process. Get your family in on it. Get your kids in on it. They're going back to school. This is a great project for back to school for them. They have the perfect time clock to keeping track with the school year. The months of the school year go by, or the quarters, semesters, whatever. They can also use that to keep track of their garden. All right, so we got the Bloomsdale and the Giant Noble. Let me make sure I label this so I can remember which one is on which side. So there we go. And it's not like it much matters. The spinach is going to be the spinach, but if I'm giving it away to people, I want to kind of make sure that they know what they're getting. All right, moving on. I'm not going to make y'all sit here for all of this, but some people may enjoy it. Hear the sound of the cicadas here in August, North Carolina? They're loud enough. I'm sure you probably hear them. I don't know if the microphone's picking them up or blocking them out or not. Next thing we're going to plant is some of our turnips. Again, we have two different types. We have the purple top white globe turnips, and then we have the 7-top turnip. Both seeds look pretty much the same. Wouldn't be able to tell them apart if they weren't in the packaging. So we're going to go with a similar container. Let's go with this one. Of course. All right. For the turnips, we're going to plant them pretty much the same way we did the spinach. Not going to be very much difference to them. We're going to plant one row down one side, one variety down the other side. Put 2 to 3 seeds in each container. We'll thin them out later once they actually start to grow and go from there. So our first one, we're going to go with the purple top white globe turnip. That's probably, if you're familiar with turnips, that's probably one that you've seen. It has that purple look on it on the top, and then it's white down on the bottom of it. Our turnip seeds, very small. I'm going to do my triangle pattern again, small. See what I get as far as germination and seedling growth. Can't control it, and I can't be overly concerned with it right now. I just have to make sure that I'm setting them up for success. Giving them the environment that they need for their optimal growth. So here we go. All done on these. We're going to do the other ones really quickly. Here it is. We're going to do the 7-top turnip. Get that planted. And then I'm going to get y'all out of here, because all the rest of it is going to be pretty much redundant. I'm going to continue on, of course. I'm getting everything planted right now, but I don't need to hold y'all up. Hopefully y'all can take this information that I'm giving you and go out, get the seeds, get the containers that in the soil that you need, so that you and your family can plant a garden. It's not very difficult at all. As you see, I'm sitting here. Yeah, it's warm outside. I could be doing this inside, but it's a little messy sometimes. So figured I'll just do it outside. It's not that hot that I can't endure it. I'm sitting in the shade. It's all good. And I'm about to be done, in short order. Put everything where it belongs, water everything. That's the key. You got to make sure that you water it. Make sure that you're keeping that soil moist so the seeds can germinate and they can develop their roots properly. Because that's what's happening in this seed process. They're developing the initial roots that's going to create the plant. So if they don't have the water and nutrients that they need at that early stage, they're never going to develop. They'll always have a stunted growth and just never develop into what you're expecting. So just make sure that you put a little effort in the beginning. Doesn't take a whole lot. And then you just get to sit back and enjoy the results in a lot of cases. All right, so we got our turnips planted now, our turnip seeds planted. Again, nothing looks different. It all looks the same. It just looks like soil to you right now. And really, that's the way it's going to continue to all look for a couple days. Once we get it up in the greenhouse, we'll make sure we give you a look at that once they actually start to sprout something. Giving you a look at them in the greenhouse when it's just dirt, it's just going to be you looking at soil, and that's not going to be very exciting at all now, is it? But here in a couple of days, I'm sure it's only going to take probably 2 to 3 days. We'll see some stuff starting to sprout. I'll definitely bring you along for the journey on those. You all know how I do. Would maybe do some of them mixed in our morning message videos. Maybe some of them will be a totally separate video by itself. But be on the lookout. If you're a member, look over there on the members page, community page, and you'll see a link to the Google Doc. That Google Doc will have some basic stuff that you need to get yourself started in planning whatever it is that you want for you and your family. Of course, it's going to vary depending on what specifically it is you want to plant, where you live. Your climate is very important. Some of my previous videos, I talked about things like your hardiness zone. Whenever you hear me say I'm in North Carolina zone 7B, 7B is the hardiness zone. Your hardiness zone is your temperature climate zone for the area that you live in. And you plant different things based on your temperature climate zone because of the frost. The frost is what kills your plants off if they're not a frost tolerant plant. So learn about your hardiness zone. If we need to cover that again, let me know. You know, my email and all of that is in the description. If you're a member, look at some of the perks you get. There's some members only perks that you can get as far as requesting me do certain types of live streams and stuff like that. Of course, the Google Doc is for members only. We'll have some other members only live streams about different subjects that you all want to discuss. You all will get first access to it because you all are saying that y'all want to pay for this content and that it is valuable to you. So for that, I thank each and every one of y'all. Everyone who's gotten a membership, you can click that join button down below. If you're on an iPhone, you have to actually get to a computer to do it. If you're on an Android, it should be there. If you're on an iPhone, you got to go to your MacBook or whatever other computer device. Can't do it on a iPad or an iPhone from my understanding. It has to be an Android device. You can do it on a MacBook, something like that. But you click that join button. That'll get you the early access to all the videos. Definitely let you know when your boy's going live. It'll get you entered into some of the giveaways that we're going to have coming really soon. This is enjoyable. This is what I like doing. This is my comfortable space. This is where I am at peace. And you too can enjoy a piece of your own garden, your very own. All of this stuff out here, we built. All of this stuff you see growing out here, we grew these things. Some of them we bought and then we've nurtured them to the point they are. Some of them we grew them from seed. You can have the very same in your own home garden. All you have to do is put in a little bit of work and effort now, and the abundance of blessings will start to just grow in your garden just from a little Mother Nature doing her work with the water and the sun. You coming out here, taking care of any diseases and nurturing your plants, you will be on your way to having an abundant garden in your yard as well. So till next time, good people, that's all I got for you. Hopefully you get a membership. You check out that Google Doc. You can actually put in requests for other things that you want me to cover. And hey, let's get after it. Let's start growing our own food. Let's make sure that we know what it is we're putting in our body and what it was that went into that item to make it to our table. A lot of that stuff in the grocery store, it ain't exactly what we think it is. They make it look nice and pretty, but it ain't supposed to look like that. Your food is supposed to go bad when you take it off the vine within a couple of days. It's not supposed to be able to last on the shelf for weeks at a time. That's not natural food. That's not healthy food for you. So until next time, good people, this is Iceberg. Make sure y'all take care of yourselves and each other, and make sure you're taking care of your mental health as well. Salute.
Now, as they say in your country, let us be out.